Greetings citizens of the world. A tersely worded Ministry of Defense (MOD) report circulating in the Kremlin today states that the United States is in a panic over how to release the information regarding the deaths of, at least, 14 U.S. Special Operations troops who were just totally obliterated by aerospace forces, AF, in Syria, and that the Americans, likewise, had to do last year after a Turkish fighter jet killed 12 U.S. Marines, English, but that the Americans covered up by their issuing a fake news alert falsely claiming they were killed in a helicopter crash. According to this report, between 24-26 September, MOD intelligence operatives tracing the movements of the top leadership of the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham radical Islamic terror group in Syria reported that they had all been gathered for a meeting with their U.S. Special Forces handlers in the Idlib Governorate of Syria, but that was quickly ended, just hours ago, when aerospace forces completely obliterated this meeting site, killing 5 Hayat Tahrir al-Sham field commanders identified as Abu Sulman al-Saudi, chief of southern sector in Idlib Governorate, Abu al-Abbasanid, Emir on financial issues, Abu Hussein, advisor to military minister Abu Muhammad al-Julani, Walid al-Mustafa, aide to spiritual leader Abdallah al-Muwani, and Abu Mujahid, Sharia judge, along with their U.S. Special Forces handlers that could have numbered as high as 32, or 37. The Hayat Tahrir al-Sham terror group, this report explains, was formed on January 28, 2017 as a merger between Jabhat Fatah al-Sham, formerly al-Nusra Front, and the Nur al-Din al-Zinki movement, whom the U.S. has been supplying, since 2014, with arms and ammunition, and that earlier this year the U.S. denied had been dropped off of their terror list, but with Canada confirming that they weren't listed by them as terrorists. By whatever name these U.S.-backed and led terrorists go under, though, this report says, they were all blamed, along with America itself, for the combat death in Syria of Lieutenant General Valery Osipov, and with Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov stating, "The death of the Russian commander is the price paid with blood for the hypocrisy of American policy in Syria." As many experts in America, too, have noted about General Osipov's killing, this report continues, for 3 years these terrorists had besieged Syrian troops in Deir ez-Zor city and its airport, but had not once managed to successfully attack the Syrian headquarters or to kill any high-ranking officers, but now, with these American terror proxy forces being advised by U.S. Special Forces, they have taken positions north of Deir ez-Zor where these terrorists suddenly had the intelligence data and precision mortar capabilities to kill General Osipov and his other officers. After the shocking discovery, also, of these U.S. Special Forces troops being embedded with Islamic terrorists, this report notes, the MOD issued a stern warning to the Americans to leave Syria now, or die, and that the U.S. still remained silent about, with the Foreign Ministry stating just hours ago, a whole number of circumstances that the Defense Ministry cited regarding the areas where the militants are active and the location of the U.S. Special Ops and U.S. military advisors. These aspects still remain without any answer. We have not received any clarifications why the situation was like this. As to why the Americans are remaining silent, this report explains, is due to the final massive military offensive being planned by Russia in Syria against these Islamic terrorists, with Syrian Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign and Expatriates Minister Walid al-Ma'lum stating about this action that the main battles in Syria have almost reached the end as we are writing the last chapter of the crisis in Syria thanks to the victories of the Syrian Arab Army and the support provided by the Allies. With the U.S. believing it could secure its illegal position in Syria by maneuvering their Islamic terrorist forces down the east bank of the Euphrates River in Deir ez-Zor, this report details, they were left in shock and bewilderment this past week after the MOD airlifted a PMM-2M self-propelled ferry to Syria to assist government troops to capture the eastern bank of the Euphrates Valley from these Islamic terrorists, and that allowed the Russian army to put up a 210 meters long bridge in record time across the Euphrates River that up to 8,000 military vehicles a day are now using. With Syrian forces under Russian air power swiftly retaking 7 villages to the east of the Euphrates River, this report continues, The U.S. and their coalition air forces are now lashing out in anger and fear by shelling residential neighborhoods in the Deir ez-Zor countryside with internationally prohibited white phosphorus bombs, leaving a number of civilians dead, with the internationally respected Human Rights Watch organization reporting that U.S.-led airstrikes have, also, caused the deaths of, at least, another 84 innocent Syrian men, women and children. To be noted, too, this report concludes, as Russian-protected de-escalation zones in Syria are now protecting millions of innocent civilians, and Russian-backed military advances have led to the recapturing from these U.S.-led Islamic terrorists of vast gas fields needed to heat homes for the coming winter. The American mainstream propaganda continues to ignore this war their own leaders started, and who, as always, are continuing with their non-stop fake news anti-Russia stories, such as Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Joseph Dunford absurdly telling the U.S. Congress, yesterday, that Russia remains the only potential existential threat to the United States, but that no one with a sane mind could believe, as the Americans are doing a better job of destroying themselves than any foreign nation could ever dream of doing.